Look, have you ever promised yourself you're going to eat healthy all week, only to find yourself, I don't know, elbow deep in a bag of Doritos by Tuesday night? Yeah, it happens to the best of us. Welcome to This Explainer, where we're diving into a really fascinating 30-day experiment that proves our late-night junk food binges aren't a sign of moral weakness, and they definitely aren't a lack of discipline. They're actually just a massive flaw in our daily strategy. Today, we're going to break down the absolutely laziest yet most effective way to eat healthy. It's all about relying entirely on environment design rather than white-knuckling your way through with pure willpower. Picture this, right? It's 6 p.m. You survive the workday. You've had 2 whole days of solid, healthy eating under your belt. And yet, there you are, standing in the middle of your kitchen, just staring at that bag of chips you swore you wouldn't buy. So why does this happen? Well, it's been a long day. You've probably made 50 different decisions at work. Actually, scratch that. It probably feels like 500 decisions. You're answering emails, solving problems. So you tell yourself, just a handful. One more won't hurt. Boom. 3 minutes later, the bag is totally empty. So why do we always devour the chips at 6 p.m.? It is not because you're weak. It's because your brain is completely, utterly exhausted. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the direct contrast we see between willpower and the system. Look, willpower is finite. It's like a battery. It is not unlimited. Every single time you open your pantry, see junk food, and actively choose to resist it, you're spending willpower. If you have to do that 10 times a day, your willpower bank is completely broke by dinner. Relying on willpower means fighting a daily losing battle against your own tired brain. The system, on the other hand, is all about environment design. It's taking willpower out of the equation entirely. If you have literally no other option in your environment, your autopilot naturally defaults to whatever is available. It's the mental exhaustion of choosing to be healthy versus the effortless autopilot of just having zero daily effort. So what kicked all this off? The inciting incident for this whole 30-day experiment began when the author found themselves eating a gas station burrito at 10 p.m. and then woke up the next day feeling like absolute garbage. And get this, for the 3rd time that week. They weren't sick, but they were experiencing the classic miserable symptoms of a terrible diet that just kind of sneaks up on you. We're talking heavy physical fatigue, that constant annoying brain fog, and those brutal 3 p.m. crashes where you need 2 coffees just to drag yourself to dinner time. This is exactly what eating poorly does to you over time. You don't even notice it happening until one day you're out of breath walking up the stairs, and you just think, wow, this sucks. Something has to change. So the experiment kicked off with a ruthless kitchen purge, and I mean ruthless. This brilliantly illustrates the core philosophy here. If it's junk, it cannot stay, period. The author opened every single cabinet, every drawer, the pantry, the fridge, cookies, ice cream, that one forgotten frozen pizza in the back, all of it gone. They even threw out candy they bought for guests 6 months ago that they'd just been snacking on themselves. There's actually this hilarious anecdote where they found a single unopened bag of their absolute favorite chips. Immediately, the brain starts negotiating, right? Oh, keep this one for emergencies. What if someone comes over? You'll be a terrible host. But realizing that imaginary guests were not coming to save them, they said goodbye to the chips and threw them in the trash like a psychopath. Total, absolute removal of all temptation. Okay, so with an empty kitchen that basically looked like it had been robbed, it was time to restock. But the new rule was absolutely crucial. Everything had to be zero-decision foods. We're talking the boring stuff: Greek yogurt, fruit, bananas, roasted nuts, frozen vegetables, chicken breast, eggs, and pre-washed salad greens. Notice the pre-washed part? The author specifically chose pre-washed greens because they didn't even want to expend the mental energy of deciding how to wash lettuce properly. Everything had to be boring, grab-and-eat stuff requiring zero cooking or prep decisions. Just open, eat, and you're done. Because think about it, you cannot fail if there is nothing to fail at, and if there are no complex prep steps to talk yourself out of. Watching this timeline unfold over the first 2 weeks is just fascinating. Fast forward to day 3. The author is staring into the fridge at midnight, finds no chips, no leftover pizza, and is legitimately furious at their past self for sabotaging their present self. They grabbed an apple and aggressively ate it, standing up, purely because it was the only thing there. But by day 5, the brain kind of stopped asking, what should I eat, and just went on autopilot. Day 6 was rough, staring at chicken and broccoli again, seriously considering a $40 Uber Eats order. But they chose the chicken just to avoid having to explain to themselves why they threw out all that junk food just to buy more. And by day 10, they were literally microwaving frozen broccoli, tossing some salt on it, and eating it straight from the container. No, it wasn't Instagram-worthy, but eating healthy had stopped being an active effort. It was slowly becoming a habit, just like brushing your teeth. And then we hit day 11. This is hilarious, but profoundly relatable. Day 11 is the breaking point where most diets completely crash and burn. It was a long day, literally everything went wrong. The author gets home at 9 p.m., and all they wanted in the world was comfort food. It's that exact moment you feel you've earned the right to break the rules. But the option simply wasn't there. After staring blankly at the fridge for what felt like an hour, they grabbed the only thing available and, in their own words, ate yogurt like it personally offended me. They ate angry yogurts and went straight to bed. But they survived the bad day, and they survived it purely because the environment forced them to. Which brings us to a massively important psychological concept: decision fatigue. Basically, this is the mental exhaustion you get from making choices all day long, which inevitably leads to progressively worse decisions later on. Scientists have proven this is a real phenomenon. This right here is the practical biological reason why you catch yourself ordering a pizza at 8 p.m. Your brain is quite literally tired of deciding things. But if pizza isn't an option, if the only possible thing in your fridge is chicken and vegetables, your exhausted brain will default to the chicken and vegetables, not because you're suddenly craving it, but simply because it's a path of least resistance. To reinforce this whole new environment, the author used a stupidly simple tracking method, just marking a big, bold X on a physical calendar for every single day they stuck to the system. No counting calories, no meticulously tracking macros, just a simple X. Let me tell you, there is immense psychological power in seeing a 14-day streak right in front of you. It completely gamifies the process. Once you hit 14 days in a row of not eating gas station food, you suddenly become fiercely protective of that progress. You do not want to break that streak. It adds just the perfect amount of mental friction to stop you from making a bad impulsive choice. So, that leads us right into Section 1, the ultimate temptation, surviving the pizza party. So week 3 rolls around, bringing the ultimate test, a friend's Saturday party. We're talking pizza, beer, cookies, the whole shebang. The initial instinct? Total panic. But the author had this brilliant realization. I'm not going to sit there eating carrots while everyone else eats pizza, because building healthy habits isn't about militant restriction, right? It's not about becoming a hermit just because you're terrified of cheese and bread. Doing that just makes everyone annoyed with you, and honestly, makes you hate yourself. So what did the author do? They stopped pretending to care about a boring conversation, and they just enjoyed the party. They drank the beer, grabbed a handful of chips, had a cookie, and consciously ate 3, maybe 4 slices of pizza. Because they aren't insane. They actually participated in life. Now here is where the absolute magic of environment design really shines. The difference between a guilt spiral and a system reset. Normally, after a party like that, you lay awake feeling like you just completely ruined 2 weeks of hard work. That one party becomes the exception that triggers a massive guilt spiral, right? It leads you to order delivery at midnight for the next 3 days because, hey, the streak is already broken, might as well. But the next morning, the author walked into their kitchen expecting it to feel like a crime scene, expecting to feel guilty and just want to give up entirely. Instead, they opened the fridge and found the exact same healthy stuff. No leftover pizza, no chips. The system just naturally pulled them back. There was no spiral to fall into because they would have had to get fully dressed, get in the car, and physically go to a store to buy junk. And they were way too lazy for that. So they made eggs and ate some fruit. The environment automatically reset their behavior. By the time the end of week 4 hit, the results of this 30-day transformation were incredibly telling. Their energy totally stabilized. No more of those 3 p.m. crashes or needing 3 cups of coffee just to function as a human being. Sleep quality dramatically improved. That constant, lingering brain fog was just gone. Their baseline changed, and their body finally just felt normal and functional again. But you know what the biggest victory of all was? Total freedom from food obsession. They completely stopped standing in the kitchen at 10 p.m. agonizing over what to eat. They weren't battling cravings every 2 hours. The psychological relief of not having to use your willpower to fight your own kitchen every single day, it's absolutely massive. So the crucial point is that the best diet isn't the one that requires the most discipline. It's actually the one that requires 0 discipline. Because willpower runs out, systems do not. Here is your lazy, healthy blueprint based on this incredibly successful experiment. Step 1, remove the junk. Seriously, don't negotiate with yourself. Just throw it out. Step 2, stock the basics. Fill your kitchen with boring, 0-decision, grab-and-go healthy foods. And step 3, let autopilot do the rest. Change your environment once, and your environment changes you. So stop negotiating with your exhausted brain. Make one single afternoon change, completely redesign your environment, and start marking those big red X's on your calendar today. When you take the daily exhausting decisions out of it, eating healthy stops being a grueling chore, and it just becomes what you do. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this helps you rethink your environment today, because right now, your kitchen is fighting you. Are you ready to win by simply changing the battlefield?